Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what a day we have and what a treat we have today. My name is Mark Kester, and I'm the founder of the Players NIL. I'd like to introduce you to two inspiring young women, Cammie Wilson and Bella Rasmussen. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Hi.
It's great to have you both here. It's exciting. Cammie, you and I are in the beginning of our journey, but for our audience, I want to just first of all say that, you both are great examples of what the Players NIL is all about, and that is using athletics to better your life, which means creating opportunities. And today we want to talk about how you can use your platforms to better the lives of the people around us. And you both have great stories. You both are doing that, and I'm very proud and thankful that we've had this opportunity. So, Cammie, why don't you start us off and introduce yourself to Bella, and let's start the conversation.
Great. Well, hi to both of you. And Bella, I've heard nothing but great things about you, and I'm glad to have you on this. And just a little bit about me. I am a current student athlete at the University of Oregon. I am on the acrobatics and tumbling team. Acro and tumbling is an NCAA emerging sport. So we're on the road to be sponsored by the NCAA here soon. We've grown to about being here in 51 schools now, which is super exciting. And I know that the sport has a lot to go and a lot to grow into. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. So I came from an all-star cheerleading background. My team was heavily followed on YouTube. We had a YouTube series called Cheerleaders, which is kind of what guided me into taking a large social media following. And now with the startup of NIL, it came my sophomore year of college, and I'm now in my junior year. It's been a whirlwind, but I mean, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Wow, that's actually really cool. I assume with like tumbling, you definitely had to have a cheerleading background, but I've never met anybody that actually did that in college. So I think that's really cool because I could never do that. I like see that stuff and I'm always like, that's so crazy to me. I don't understand it, but that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, I'm Bella. It's great to meet you, Cammie. I've been playing football since I was like 6 years old, and I just fell in love with the sport there. So, but for me, it really was like just to play the sport rather than to be like a female at it.
Yeah.
So when everything happened and I finally scored 2 touchdowns, which is kind of what put me in the platform and got me out into the media. It really wasn't for like this grand record thing. It's just me trying to play football. But it really did like skyrocket me into all these doors opening and things like that. And yeah, it's been pretty crazy ever since. But I actually was going to apply to University of Oregon. That's like one of my top schools. So I think that's super cool to be together.
You would love it here as a Duck. I'm telling you, you seem like you have that type of personality. It's nothing but fun here. And I'm sure that they would love to have you.
Yeah, it's a huge athletic school too. So I think wherever I want to go to college anyways, like I want that to be a big part of it. So
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, like cheerleading it's definitely 100% a sport, but it isn't as recognized. And just being able to be at Oregon as a student athlete was kind of what drew me here. I mean, as you said, like the student athlete experience, especially at Oregon, is like any other. And it's brought so many different opportunities. And I feel like that's kind of what drew me to Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah. And if acrobatics and tumbling is like up and coming, I feel like that's the perfect place to be because it's a place that takes sports seriously already. So it's like, I don't know, like I feel like you got really lucky there. That's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't have to prove that I'm an athlete.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm sure you can kind of talk on it. Even though I know you're not doing it, you're doing it for the love of football, but what has it been like being a female in a male dominated sport?
I mean, it's definitely like, I think every day I have to prove myself because my like 100% is the guy next to me is 75%. And that's something that I definitely had to like face every single day. But I think it was a huge mindset thing where it's like, if I go into it with the mindset of the fact that I'm outplayed, outweighed, outran, all those things, like, then yeah, I'm going to get beat. But if I walk into it as in like, I'm supposed to be here, not because I'm a girl, but because I play football, that's what like allowed me to be successful. And I think that just applies everywhere is like, if you walk into a competition knowing you're going to be there, like knowing you're supposed to be there, I think that's what leads to success. So as difficult as it was and as many challenges as I had to face, like it really came down to how I faced it head on and how I had my mind around it. And yeah, I don't know. It was difficult, but I got through it, and I think I came out better because of it.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that kind of helped you gain that confidence? I know that's definitely not something that happens overnight.
I definitely think that at least I think a huge part of it was my parents. My parents are like super supportive. And I think that was like a big part of me being able to believe in myself. But at the end of the day, like I said, like I have to be the one who sees my own success. So I think that after like so much experience, that when I like playing youth football, that when I finally got to high school, it was more like, okay, well, I know what I'm doing. I understand the sport. It's like there's no reason for me to be afraid, because at this point, it's like as far as like skills and knowledge of the sport, like I'm at the same level as that guy is.
For
So
sure.
like if not farther at that point. So I'm like, we're all learning at the same pace, and it's like I'm not afraid to make a mistake on the field. Like I won't let it cripple me down, you know, like it's like I can succeed without feeling like I failed.
That's
I
great.
love that. That's great stuff. So Cami, how can you relate to that? You know, you're in a sport that is male and female, but it's not probably as public and as popular as revenue generated sports, especially at Oregon. So, you know, how did you overcome people's perception, lack of knowledge? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically where I came from, cheer was a male and female sport. And now going into acro, it's a fully female sport, which has been super special to me because I feel like it's already giving us that ability to be on the same playing field with every single person. And more than anything, it's giving a way for female athletes to be elevated, because I think as a cheerleader growing up, I mean, the amount of times I was told cheer's not a sport, you're just waving your pom-poms, you're doing this and that. I can't even count the amount of times I was hearing that since I was like 5 years old.
Mhm.
And I think where it came from was my own security, knowing like, I know I can beat you in an athletic race, and
Yeah.
I don't need to prove it to you, because as long as I know that within myself and my teammates know that and my coaches know that, that's really all that matters. And now being able to be an acro, I've at least gotten rid of that part. I don't have to prove acro is a sport. We're sponsored. We're given the same opportunities as any other student athlete here. We're on scholarship. We're able to kind of take that relief off of proving that we're a sport here. And now more than anything, it's just about being able to be the best at the sport and improving the sport and being part of that growth. So eventually it will end up being able to generate revenue. And of course, what we get is not going to be the same as football. I mean, they're more than established, especially at the University of Oregon. But I think where it comes from and where people are able to look to when choosing their school, and why I chose this school, is I knew I would have the support and the team behind me that didn't matter if we weren't getting the same revenue opportunities that a different sport would. And I think that's kind of really what brought me here and made me try a new sport, because acro and tumbling isn't at the high school level. It's only at the collegiate level. You're brought in based off of your potential to be good at the sport, which is scary. But I knew that you had that room, as Bella was talking about, to make a mistake, to learn and to grow. And that's kind of where I fell into it.
Yeah, I think that
That's a
you're
great,
adding a lot of legitimacy to the sport, honestly, because I feel like you've shown that there is a platform in acrobatics. Like there's a way to get like popular. Like it's not like it's not there's an audience for that. And I think you're adding a lot of legitimacy to it. So I think you're in the right place at the right time for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's cool too, because I mean, I didn't know about it before. And I think cheerleaders and gymnasts grow up thinking that there's only one option. And now there's acro and tumbling. There's something new that they can try. There's something that people are able to finally look up to. And I think that's kind of where like the social media aspect comes into it too, of no, this is what it is. This is what you can do with it. And this is how you can do it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that this really segues into the next part of what we want to talk about, and this is a great point that you made here, Cami. So I think the perception of college athletics today is that the Power Five schools like Oregon, the revenue sports like football, men's basketball, women's basketball, are the dominating the name, image, and likeness NIL space. But I think in its purest form, Bella, what name, image, and likeness has done is it's given you an equal footing to the revenue sports and the Power Five sports. So, Bella, talk to us a little bit about, name, image, and likeness is a fancy word for being an influencer, for being a, entrepreneur, a marketer. What has this platform created for you, the opportunities, and how have you taken advantage of it to date?
I feel like name, image, likeness, because when I first got introduced to NIL in the beginning, it was like such a foreign thing to me, because it was like I'd heard about it, but it's still so new. So I was like, what does that really mean? And to me, like at first, my understanding was it was just like somebody partnering with brands. But what I realized is that it really is a way to have a story and put it out there. Like to me, NIL isn't about like getting money and signing a bunch of contracts. It's about inspiring other people. And I feel like that's exactly what my platform was meant to do, because it targets like other little girls and other kids who want to go play football, and maybe don't necessarily feel like they can because of gender barriers, because of things like that, because of stereotypes. And I feel like that's what NIL was for me, is it was breaking those down, because it was me putting myself out there as an example of somebody who not only went out and did the sport and succeeded at it, but it's actually taking me somewhere. And I feel like that allows people to believe that there really is an opportunity in football beyond being like incredibly good at it. But I feel like in general, it also just puts a better name to NIL than what people are assuming it's going to be. Because there's obviously tons of like negativity towards NIL, but it's like, it doesn't all have to be bad. It really can be life-changing for not only the athlete themselves, but for the people around them too.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And Cami, what's your answer to that question? What has it meant to you personally? What has it meant to your program to be able to be on an equal footing? I mean, you have almost 28,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know how many football players have that, but I'll bet you're in the top couple percentile. How have you used name, image, and likeness to build your personal brand and your team brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Bella said, I really got started before NIL was even a thing. Back in high school, it was really just about sharing my story, being able to inspire the younger athletes that I knew were looking up to me. And I think in NIL, at the end of the day, that's what I always go back to. I always go back to, does this really showcase who I am? Does this match my values? Am I able to see where this would have a fit if a 12-year-old little girl was looking up as to what I want to do and what Cami would do? And I think that's been the most important part of it. And by being able to create my story and sharing not only the sports side of me, but also just the outside things like family and friends and hanging out and showing that aspect of my life as well, I've been able to also generate some of those brand deals that I feel have been so lucky to be a part of. I mean, I've gotten the chance to work with brands such as Lululemon, Bumble, Alba Botanica, Pepsi, and Jersey Mike's. Oh, did we lose Bella?
Oh, we lost Bella. She'll come back on. Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to work with brands such as Bumble, Lululemon, Alba Botanica, Meta and Instagram, Jersey Mike's and Pepsi, to name a few, Champ Sports. And I never thought that was possible because of the stigma behind it. But once I was able to talk to people such as yourself and in the NIL Empowered 2.0 program and other companies that are like, it's not just about your numbers, right? Your numbers are a result of the following that you're creating because of the content you're creating, because of who you're sharing, because of who you are as a person. And I think that's kind of where I've really discovered what it means to build the personal brand. And usually what I tell people when they ask, well, how are you getting these opportunities? How are you creating it? And I say, you create it for yourself, especially as a non-revenue sport. People are not going to be just throwing money at you. You have to prove why it fits, why you're valuable to the brand, why they should choose you over a said football player, right? And I think that by doing so, it creates a platform that has a longevity to it. And I think more than anything, for anyone that wants to get involved and create those opportunities, it's just really being secure in yourself and looking at your social media and really feeling that authenticity through and through, no matter what is being thrown at you, no matter where it takes you, that's where you want to be at for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a great experience. Bella's back.
Hi,
So,
Bella.
Hi. Sorry,
modern
there
tech,
were power outages. My Wi-Fi cut out. I'm sorry.
that's all right. Hey, modern technology. So, Bella, what questions do you have for Cammie? Your chance to be in the hot seat.
I think one of the biggest things I'd like to ask is like, what has it been like, because obviously we're in two separate sports, obviously, and very much trying to prove ourselves in different ways, but I'm curious to know what your experience has been like, obviously, because I'm seeing as I play football, like I've heard the comments like cheer isn't a sport, like I hear that all the time. And I'm curious to know what your perspective is on that, because I also get a lot of things of like, you're a female football player, so it's not as legitimate. Like, how did you kind of like deal with that? Like listening to people constantly talk about it, and as well as how did that motivate you to want to show people that it is?
Yeah, for sure. And I totally understand like the stigma behind it. I mean, for so long, all we saw on social media was people waving pom-poms and dancing and not being able to really showcase what it is. And I think where I started is when I got asked, well, cheer isn't a sport. Why do you think it is? I'd tell them why it's a sport. I'd tell them we're practicing 5 times a week for 4 hours plus every single day. Our conditioning, we start out with 3 miles running and then go into an actual arm leg day and everything like that. And I think when you kind of let them know and showcase, for example, I know you go through things like, well, you're a female football player. What does that mean? You go, take away the female part, I'm still a football player. I'm still going through the same exact conditions. It doesn't matter whether or not I'm a female. I still have the same expectations as a football player. And I kind of did the same thing. I mean, even at acro, they say, well, what do you do? And I'm like, think of what a student athlete does. I'm taking a full course load. I'm going to practice from 4 to 7 every day. I have recovery. I have weights. I'm lifting people. And I think when you're asked that type of a question, you just start to educate. And I think by doing so, it kind of lets people reel it back and go, okay, you're right. You know what I mean? And sometimes you'll get that, oh, right reaction. And sometimes you're going to get that, well, you're still wrong reaction. And at the end of the day, I realized that's out of my control, right? All I can control is what I'm saying, what I'm showcasing on my social media, what I'm proving within myself and how hard I work as an athlete. And that was kind of where I kind of let the noise stop and I kind of let the comments go, because I realized that everyone can't do what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where it stems from. And as long as I always rather put in the effort to someone that will appreciate the effort than someone who has already formed an opinion and doesn't want to take that effort. But again, no matter what, it's not in my control. And I think that's where it took a while. It was not easy. There were plenty of times I was sad and crying and everything in between. But I think now in that spot, I just realized, all right, I'm going to help those that want help,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, like that. I feel like that's very real in a lot of ways. Like that's really respectable because it is real. It's like, it definitely is a hard place to be, to constantly be getting like hate and like have people like not support you. And to be able to like turn the other cheek and focus on the people who do support you, like that's not an easy thing to do. And it doesn't come without its own challenges itself. So definitely props to you there, because I understand where you're coming from. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really cool thing that we should share with people, is like being able to block out what other people are saying and just focus on the people who love you and what you do. It's not easy, but it's the right path to choose.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think those are great messages. And, only you two, not only you, but you two have a unique perspective on that, which brings me to one of my last questions, Bella, is, you probably never envisioned that you'd be here today where you are from a popularity standpoint. How do you plan to use this platform? Our mission here at the Players NIL is how to use athletics to better the lives of the people around you. You girls have done that without even knowing it, but now you really have an enlarged platform. You have something to say. You're intelligent, incredible young people. the future of sports is in good hands with people like you. How do you plan on using that platform, and what do you want to, what do you want to do with it?
I think one of the biggest things, because obviously a huge thing I thought about when I first got this platform and first had people reaching out and wanting to talk to me and everything, I was like, there's a real opportunity here. Like there really is a big opportunity that really does come once in a lifetime and not for everybody. And I was like, I'm being given a lot of things. Like there's a lot of doors opening for me. And for me, at least, when I was receiving all of it, it was like, how can I give that back to people? Especially because it's like, it wasn't just me that got me here. Like, it would be ignorant for me to come out into a platform and be like, yeah, it was me, myself, and I. Like, that's the only reason I succeeded, because it's not true. It's like, I had family, I had coaches, I had friends. It's like, I was incredibly blessed to be surrounded by the group of people that I was. And it's a huge part of my success. And it was like, for me, immediately, it was like, how can I, bring them into it? How can I give that back to them, to hopefully show them how much I appreciated them. So when I first had my first meeting with my agent about what things were important to me going into the NIL space, the first thing I said is mental health, just because I've seen how it's affected, obviously, like my teammates, like mental health and athletes, that goes hand in hand. And again, it's only really been talked about recently, but as well as just like how mental health has affected my family members and my friends and myself as well. And I knew that was something that I wanted to push on people. So the first thing I thought of when I got all the NIL deals and stuff like that is I wanted it to be around mental health, because it was like, if I have this voice that's being aired, the least I can do is have it be aired for something, It's like, I can of course go on a screen and talk about myself for an hour, but who does that help, It's like, I would get bored listening to somebody talk about themselves for an hour. So I think what it really comes down to is being able to show people that, I don't know, that there's more important things in life than just being successful, and it doesn't come without its own challenges. And I think that's what I want to push on people, is just focusing on them helping themselves and knowing that they're heard and that they're seen, and that their struggles are valid. And I think that's kind of where I want to go in the NIL space, just because it's like, I'm getting blessed just by being here. I think it's my turn to give some of those blessings back.
I love that. That's awesome. I can see, the big smile on Cammie's face. And, I have this opinion about the mental health aspect in sports, having been an athlete, a parent of athletes, a parent of college coaches in the athletic business. The mental health aspect comes when your whole self-worth is based on who you are as an athlete or a performer, and that there's no balance, right? That there's no balance. Like it or not, good or bad, Bella Rasmussen is the female football player. And while that has gotten you certain celebrity, that has gotten you certain places, it's created opportunities, it's not who you are, right? You're probably much deeper than that. You probably have more interest than that. And so finding that balance, am I right, Cammie? Like you're, a high school cheerleading national sensation, you're a college athlete leader, but who are you as a person? Cammie, how do you express that in social or with your platform?
Yeah, I mean, the way I do it is just by really thinking back to when we were young. You know what I mean? Like, what were we thinking when we were 12 years old? Where did we want to look to? Where did we ask for help? Where were we struggling? And I think that's where I really just try and put myself back into that mindset of being like, without knowing, and now with this experience, what I wish I could have had. And I think that's where I try my best, because I know that's all I can do. And I just try to share that love and the passion for the sport, because I think that's what drives so many athletes like myself. And I believe, just even from this conversation, someone like you, Bella, like it really at the end of the day is just about the enjoyment of it and the love for the sport that really drives everybody, regardless of what the sport is, regardless of where you're coming from, regardless of who's following you. It's really that. And I think that's where I try and share the most is I love what I do, and this is what's coming from it. And by doing so, it inspires, even if it inspires one person, you get one comment that's like, I watched this and I did this because of it, then that's all that matters. And I think that's where we're able to kind of turn away the hate, turn away, well, what's it for? What are you doing it for? Because that one person is all that matters at the end of the day. But Bella, I have a huge smile on my face because I think like as someone who's been in college athletics now for 3 years, it's not easy. And it's something that we at Oregon especially care about and navigate every single day and talk about on a daily basis as an athlete community. And as someone in high school and having such an amazing like grasp on the concept and such a way to advocate for mental health, especially in athletics, is so special. And I just encourage, like, no matter what, you continue to do it and you do it to the absolute max, because I think someone like you is going to be the change that athletes need to get rid of the stigmatism. And I think we're getting there. We're starting to break that barrier. And now it's about where we want to go with it. And I think someone like you is going to be able to make such a change and such a difference. And like, it's just really admirable to watch and to hear from you. And just you're amazing. Like, seriously.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It feels like it means a lot more coming from somebody who's in the same position. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
I won't be insulted if I say that and you don't say that back to me. So look, we're down to the last minute. And this is what it's all about. It's about making NIL relatable and attainable. And how do we do that? We tell stories, right, Cammie? And we tell Bella's story. We tell your story because Bella can relate to your story. And now, you know, Bella, now we're hopefully going to have other people that can relate to your story. So in our last minute here, Bella, you're our guest. What are your parting words of wisdom? What's the advice that you have? Any shout outs if you've got some brands that you're representing? We're a fully functional business entity here. You're allowed to do that. So you have the last word. Let us know what you'd like to share with us.
I think the biggest thing, honestly, that I can push on anybody, it doesn't matter what sport you play, if you play a sport, it doesn't really matter what you do with your life, just make the most of it. Like, that's the thing that I wish I could tell everybody if I could, you know, it's just like, go make the most of your life, because you really do get one chance. Like, you get one shot at every single day. It's like, make the most of your life. Like, go do as many things as you can, go see as much as you can, experience as many different kinds of people as you can. Because it's like, if you're put on this earth, like you have like the one chance, like the one opportunity that lots of different people don't have, you know. It's like, you are here for a reason. Like, make the most of every single day. That's the biggest thing I can push on people. It has nothing to do with sports, something to do with mental health or NIL or anything like that. It's like, just go experience life. Whatever that looks like for you, go do it, you know?
Great words of wisdom. Cammie?
Love it. I absolutely love it.
All right.
I second that. And I would just say to anyone out there, don't let a no stop you. Just one door closed is another one waiting to be open. And Bella said it. I'm a firm believer. Every single thing happens for a reason, and just to trust it, trust yourself, trust your instincts, and you're going to end up where you're supposed to be. And that's that.
I love that.
Great.
That's good.
Well, it's been awesome. It's been great to meet you, Bella, and
Thank you.
Cammie, as always, my co-host here. Thank you for all of your input and your wisdom and making it relatable and attainable. And Bella, from the Players NIL, in all seriousness, congratulations. Really, really exceptional effort in terms of, you know, your communication skills and your message to young athletes, especially to female athletes. I can't wait personally, and I know we can't wait to see what you do with your platform. And if you ever want to come back on and update us on what's going on, you're always welcome at the Players NIL.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome.